back at it again, fixing the Corvette. I finally figured out my issue, which I won't be fixing in this video, but the clutch needs to be replaced. Basically, there's an outer spring on the clutch. It's a Monster Model SC twin disc clutch. It's rated for, I think, at least 900 horsepower or something. And there's an outer spring that broke, and I'll show some pictures here in a minute about what actually happened. And I was able to figure this out by pinpointing where the noise was coming from with a stethoscope, and then getting a borescope through one of the vent pathways at the base of the bell housing to kind of look and see what was going on. But yeah, in first gear driving home one day, and high RPMs, I heard a loud clicking starting to happen. I jumped out. I couldn't really exactly tell where it was in the engine. Drove it home. Used stethoscope to look all over the engine, and it sounded like an exhaust leak, or like a really bad lifter failure, or like a rocker arm or something really bad. But the engine felt like it was running healthy. Like I couldn't tell that the engine was suddenly loss of power, so that made me somewhat okay to drive it home. I was thankfully only 10 minutes away. But eventually, I couldn't really find anything on the engine. I took the stethoscope and just spent a while looking and listening, and couldn't hear anything. And finally, stuck it down between here onto the top of the bell housing, and instantly I heard the clicking so much louder. If you don't have one of these, it's like $10 at Harbor Freight, or you can get one off Amazon. Very useful tool in pinpointing funky noises on cars. But yeah, so pinpointed it to the bell housing. Then I got up under here, and at the base, there's like a small port where I was able to stick in a borescope on those two outer fins inside and look at the inside the bell housing at the clutch and everything. And sure enough, I was able to finally spot a section of the spring, which is very thin. And looking at Monster clutches, all of their series in certain models tend to have these. Like all of the C6 Corvette clutches that I found on their website had this smaller spring. And you can see, I mean, it's a very, very thin, smaller spring. It doesn't seem logical that they would have such a thin... It looks like poor design. It looks like it could break, and it did break. And there's no indication that something got in there. That's like extremely unlikely that anything were to go up in those, vent holes and jam in there. And I can't see anything else broken or damaged. I just think with wear and tear that it broke. This only has 20 to 25,000 miles on it. The car has like 96,000 miles, and I want to say the previous owner put that in at like 74,000 miles. So it's pretty, in fact, it might have been after that. I'm not sure when he put in the clutch. I would assume when he pulled the engine and everything. But so kind of lesson learned is Monster clutches I probably will never buy, and will preach to not own one, because obviously well below the horsepower, under pretty average driving for a sports car, it broke. And you can see that like the design of it is it just looks visually like it's not good enough. So I have a couple routes I could go. One is obviously to do this all myself, which I'll probably do. There's a good amount of videos of people doing this. So I didn't really talk about this during the video, but part of the reason that I have to replace the clutch in the bell housing is due to the damage that the Monster clutch exhibited on the bell housing. I doubt the integrity of it. Like, I don't know how bad it is because I haven't opened everything up right now, but I know it probably has to be replaced. And obviously the clutch is most importantly in balance. Next steps is I got to start ordering parts. I'm going to have to order header gaskets. I'm going to have to order a new bell housing because it chewed up the inside of the bell housing. More than likely, when I have everything apart, there's going to be something on the drive shaft that I'm going to look at and be like, while I'm in here, I should replace this. There's also a leaking seal on the front of the transmission, which, while I have everything dropped, probably would be prudent to try and fix that if I can. There's other little things I'm sure in the back that while I'm doing all of this that I'll replace. And I need to do some research on what clutch to get. Sounds like McLeod may be a good one. But a lot of people recommend Monster, right? And obviously I just found a pretty, I'm not going to say this is common. Like, I don't know how many other people have experienced this, but just from looking at the design of that clutch and that part, it seems like there was no engineering at all, or it was just poorly engineered or whatever, but it obviously breaks, and it's something that can break. And if that thing can break, what else on that clutch did they poorly engineer or design that also could break? You know, a robust clutch like that, in my book, unless you're doing like extremely harsh track days all the time, a clutch, like if anything, on a clutch, the first thing that's going to go out is like the material on the friction plates and whatnot, or just the spring, just with overtime use, wear. It's, you know, shouldn't fracture or break or anything. Anyway, that's going to be a whole process, which I'll try and film, but wanted to give an update on the car and maybe not buy a Monster clutch. I'll be interested once I have it out of the car. I'll probably take more videos of like the condition of everything, and then also just look more closely at the Monster clutch and see what else, if anything, is sketchy. Anyway, thanks for watching.